Everyone, welcome back. Main line here. Finally got something else up on the turntable here, so go over it quickly with you guys, or sort of quickly. Here I just wanted to show kind of the last final steps of building this thing. I've just been putting off forever. You have to flip this thing over basically, and put that big plastic gear on, and of course the handrails are in the way, so I've got the box there to kind of support it. But I actually kind of had to hammer these brass pickups on, because after you solder them, you'll see it's kind of like clumpy in there. I tried to be as conservative with solder as I could, but I actually ended up using the tweezers there to actually kind of sit on top of them, hammer them down with the hammer. Once you get them in place, you can put the piece there that holds those brass contact strips in there. Glue that in, get everything kind of lined up, and as you see, the wire is all hooked and twisted and ready for the little nuts and bolts to tighten everything up. The instructions, they're okay. It tells you to bend these tabs, but I didn't have to. But it does tell you to run the wires from the motor and the track leads through the hole. And I eventually had to make more holes for those wires because there just wasn't enough room. Here you got to be careful too. The brass contacts come really close to this main gear. So I was just trying to show that you got to pay attention to that, otherwise it'll drag and rub on there. So anyways, back to the wires. I drilled a couple holes. It took me a couple tries to get everything where I wanted it. But that's all part of the hobby, I guess. Eventually, I got everything, like I said, where I wanted it. And the first test fit onto the layout, it seemed to go pretty good. Lining everything up. Power was good at first. As you can see, I can actually get a locomotive onto the turntable and keep it running stationary. But after that, once I started spinning it, that's when I started having issues. So I ripped it all apart again, went underneath, checked it, and as you can tell, I looked like everything was touching good. When I started to spin it, then I started having issues. Like I said, it's like it would just instantly lose power, even though the brass contacts looked like they were like really making a good contact with those little brass pickups on the turntable itself, those like washer style ones. It is kind of hard. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it. You might be able to see it is a little jerky, and that's not the motor's fault or the controller's fault. That's just I think the design of it. Anyways, so I figured out how to overcome this lack of conductivity. Sorry for the upside down picture here. I actually had some brass rod kicking around, and I was like, well, I need something that's going to wrap around this thing, always make constant contact. So I had this little brass rod laying around. I wrapped it around that Marette thing, the little twisty electrical connector. So it was about the same size, and soldered them in place, as you can see, onto these brass pickups. And now the tabs make a good contact with those pickups. So that's something you want to keep in mind if you're doing this yourself. Just quickly showed what I was doing for power. I had an old but pretty good quality Atlas DC power pack, which is controlling my turntable speed and direction. You don't really need it to go fast. I find that the slower speeds help the gears not skip. It's all plastic, right? It's not perfect. And then I've got, as well, you would have seen under there quickly, a Digitrax AR1 auto reverse circuit to handle my track polarity when I flip the engines around. So anyways, this was a couple hours last night, and maybe about an hour or so today. Just kind of hammering out this turntable, making it work and getting it running. Like I said, it's not perfect. I kind of know how I want to fix the skipping Like, I think you can see a little bit better here how it is a little jerky. And I think a lot of that too is that there are plastic wheels on either end of the table itself, and then just a plastic rail that goes around, compared to the DCC 130-foot turntables that Walthers is doing now. I think this is good. This is good for, you know, the $80-90 you can get it for. The motor kit's about $30 or $40. And if you can make it work with just those or without the motor kit, whatever, it's all good. But for the extra $200 and some in the future, I think I'm gonna invest in a DCC one. This motor is loud when it is running at a higher speed. A lower speed, like I said, I think is probably best and gives you more realistic operation. But here I spun the Trainmaster all the way around. It wasn't pretty. Like I said, the teeth on those gears, they skip a little bit, and I know how I'm going to go about fixing that. Yeah, right on. got it to work. So I'll show one last thing here before we shut her down. Just another angle, and rather than a diesel, let's throw the 280 on there. That's what everybody wants to see anyways, the steam. So anyways, hopefully I got everything covered here. It's really fast because I'm just doing a voiceover, and I'm kind of limited to the real-time speed of the video. So if you have any questions, just hit me up in the comment section there. I do try my best to get back to everybody. Leave a like or whatever. I do appreciate you guys watching. Finally getting this Walthers 90-foot turntable built, finished, I think. Yeah, hopefully this was informative. I'm sorry, I do feel bad. It is really fast, but kind of limited to the free editing software on my phone, my crappy phone. There you can see it is jerky, and I think okay, so this is just quick. I think it's these plastic wheels. They do get hung up on themselves because they're not perfectly round. They're plastic. But I did notice too, the turntable, I think it's a little loose, and I think where it kind of has a pivot in the motor housing. I don't think it's fully seated in there. So my plan is to actually drill a hole through the motor housing, through that pivot point of the turntable, and put like the same size as the drill, obviously, like a styrene rod or brass rod or something in there, just so it doesn't have the ability to move laterally within the housing itself when it's seated. So hopefully that fixes that. Definitely the weight of an engine helps keep everything where it should be. It's a little less forgiving when it's just a bare table. So anyways, guys, that's all I got. Hopefully this was good. Until next time, thanks for watching. More to come as always, slowly but surely, and take her easy.